Hello everybody, my name is Tanner Kyler, and in today's video I'm going to teach you how to repot cacti. And if you stick around to the end of the video, you should be able to completely repot a cacti on your own and do it properly where you won't kill it in the process. I'm outside right now because it's a nice day out, but I have an Echinopsis in here, which is a species of cacti, and I'm going to go ahead and make my soil mix. We're going to make this soil mix here. Well, actually first I'm going to show you the Echinopsis here. This is it. It is a hybrid species. It has lavender blooms, and if I can find a picture of it, I'll put it up here on the screen. So here's my Echinopsis here. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna try to move outside probably because the lighting's probably not the best in here. I don't know, it doesn't look bad, so I might just stay in here. But here's my pot that I'm potting this one up to, so it's slightly larger. One thing to note is that cacti, this is still kind of a big jump, but cacti do not like a huge jump in pot size. I found that if you move them from a pot of this size to possibly a pot of this size, it might stun its growth, it might stretch, it might get root bound, or not root bound, it might get root rot. So cacti prefer to be potted up in smaller increments than some plants. So we have our pot, and I have some peat moss over here. I'm gonna go ahead and mention, I'm gonna start only purchasing coconut fiber because it's much more sustainable, because the peat bogs where this peat moss comes from live up in Canada, and it's not very sustainable because they take hundreds if not thousands of years to form. So I've been recommending to people to use core or the husk of coconut fiber because it's a byproduct of the coconut industry. So we're gonna have it no matter what. So I say we might as well use what we have of the cacti. So I'm gonna go ahead and get some peat moss here though, because this is what I have. I'm gonna use it up, and then I'm gonna stop using this. So I use about 1/3 peat moss or coconut fiber. I recommend you using coconut fiber. I'm not doing a very good practice here, but I just recently learned about the sphagnum moss thing. So these peat bogs are so finite. When you're working with perlite, be careful. Another 1/3 of it in the mix is perlite. Because of the dust, it's really bad for your lungs. An expanded volcanic rock and the shards of dust that come out are very sharp, and they damage your lungs. They can cause scar tissue in your lungs, which can cause cancer in the future. You don't want that. And then the most important, well, not the most, I think perlite's pretty important, but then 1/3 sand. So go ahead and grab some sand here. Yeah, so the sand's gonna help with drainage, it's gonna help with rooting, it's gonna keep it from getting root rot, but it's also going to weigh down the pot to keep the cacti from falling out. Because I'll go ahead and show it here. If you just barely, if you just like get this thing tipped a little bit, it'll fall really fast. Because its pot is not very heavy. And so we have this mix. It's too much sand in it. Let me go over here for a second. I'm gonna mix this. I'll bring this with me. We'll just go right here. And so we have our mix, and then I just kind of, don't know if you can see all that dust, but I'm holding my breath. I just lost a lot of perlite actually. We need a little bit more perlite in this, so I'm gonna go grab some. Your end product should look a little bit like this, something like that. And it should be very grainy, loose. You should be able to see the sand, but you should also be able to see the peat, and you should also be able to see the perlite. About 1/3, 33% of each. And then, okay, we'll grab the camera and come back over here where the cacti is. So here's the cacti. Now, to make sure this fine soil doesn't fall out of the bottom of the pot here, I have some river pebbles. I tend to just do a handful of these river pebbles, river stones. They're gonna help keep all of it from falling out of the bottom. Now you're gonna fill this pot about 2/3, about halfway full at least. So fill it up a little bit, okay? It should look like this here. And so now it's time to take this guy out. I didn't water it. A good thing to do is to wet these first, not to break the roots up too much. And I might actually have to pause the video and soak this one for a minute. But it's like a bed of nails here. So you can actually hold cacti by their spines if you're very careful with it. Actually, I did water it just the other day, but as you can see, its roots are really bound and are starting to fold in on themselves. And so what you're gonna do is you're gonna kind of just go through here, kind of just break those up a little bit. Make sure it doesn't end up getting bound back in the pot in the way it was in this pot. So I just kind of come through and remove that. Also, this thing's starting to get a lot of pups, so I might actually take a few of them and make some cuttings. I can show you how to do that real quick. So now you got all those roots kind of showing here. This is probably good enough. I just kind of like letting them expose where you can see its roots coming out. Honestly, probably something like this might be enough. Yep, just like that. And there came a pup. And so that pup I'm gonna grow into another Echinopsis. I believe that's the name of it. It's yeah, Echinopsis. This one is a I got from Amarillo from a nursery. It is a cultivar that's only found there, and I believe this hybrid she has of these Echinopsis are found only at this nursery. So if you want to go check that out, go look into Chaparral Cactus and Succulents and Amarillo, Texas. I picked these up on a trip when I went down there to Amarillo. All right, so I'm gonna place it till it sits about flush with the pot here. So let me press it down a tiny bit if you need to. I might actually dig it out just a tiny bit. I tend to make this kind of like a, I'll show it real quick, kind of this bowl shape with the soil. So it can sit in here. And go ahead and put that here. And we're gonna set this down flush with it. And then I'm gonna just kind of hold the top here and just slowly work around. And you're gonna get soil up in the spines, but that's fine because you can remove it with a paintbrush. So if you get yourself just a little paintbrush, it makes it really nice to remove all these fine particles that you don't want necessarily on your cacti. Because cacti have chlorophyll in their stems. This one doesn't look like it has a stem, but technically this ball here is its stem, and it replaced its leaves with spines, which the needles can still photosynthesize, but not as good as the green chlorophyll covered trunk or stem it has here. This is what's important. Make sure it gets a lot of sun. Echinopsis love a lot of sun. They tend to bloom in April, mid to late April. Start watering them around this time of year, around February, end of February, early March. Start watering them, giving a little bit more sunlight. You'll start to see buds form as long as they were dormant throughout the winter. I kind of need that paintbrush I was talking about. I might run in and grab that. And I normally just end up kind of tossing some of this around here. And this is all up to you. I normally just leave the top exposed so it dries out a little quicker from evaporation. But I know that some of these other nurseries and things, you'll see they come with rocks. So I'm gonna go ahead and try that with this one. Weigh down the pot, keep it from falling over. It's also gonna just add some character. I'm dropping rocks just everywhere right now. Don't worry, I'll sweep them up and reuse them. All right, so you can see what I mean here by these pups. Oh, I don't know if it's focused. These pups here are covered up in dirt. So what we're gonna do is and you're just gonna come through and work it like that. This might take a minute. Sometimes it takes longer. Depends on how dirty you got it. You just kind of come through here, and you can also do it to remove any other things like this flower here. It's an old dead one from last year. Doesn't necessarily need to be on the cacti. It's actually just blocking it from the sun a little bit. We want them to get plenty of sun so they'll grow. I'm just gonna come over here. Oops. And just kind of brush it, kind of shake it. It's okay to get a little bit rough with it, get it all out. Make sure it's not covering up the growth heads of these pups, because it'll prevent them from growing as well. Here's other flower buds. I do have a picture somewhere, so I think I should be able to put it up. I don't know if you can get all those out, but they did a pretty good job of it. I'll give it good water. But that's all it takes. It's not a super difficult task. I'm going to go ahead and give it a water, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so we got the cacti here. And 1 second, I gotta close this. I forgot the pup in here. Don't want to forget that. Where'd I put him? There it is, right there. I have a propagation dish, and I'll show you guys me putting that in there. But that's all you need. You just need a small pup. I could have took any of the larger ones. They would have worked just as well. But this one right here will work just fine for rooting. Propagating an exact clone of this lavender hybrid Echinopsis I have. Here's my propagation rack here. I have all these different cacti propagating right here, and some euphorbias and some other succulents. But what I'm going to do is just, well, there's actually a little bit of powder right here. Just going to rub a little bit of rooting hormone on the base of this cacti. There's a little bit on there now. And then you just put it down here, you find your spot. I'll just press it into the soil slightly. Ow. Gonna push it up around them, and don't water it for at least a day or two. Let it callus, then give it a mist. Doesn't need a lot of water because it doesn't have roots yet. And then give it a mist a day or two later. And it doesn't take much. A little bit of water goes a long way for these babies. And it'll start producing roots. And then about every 1 to 2 weeks, give it a good mist. Within a month or a month and a half, you'll start to develop roots. And they'll become big enough where you can repot it into a larger pot. And then that's how you clone your plant. So I'll have within 2 or 3 years, it'll be maybe 3 or 4 years, it'll be looking like this. Okay, now I'm here, and I put this container underneath it so the water can come up through the bottom of it. This is also going to get rid of all the air bubbles that are found inside of the pot. Make sure it gets all the way full, as full as you can get it, and it'll take up water. And you need to leave it here for a few hours. I'm going to continue filling it with water until it's all the way up here to where the pot can completely fill full. And then after this, do not water it for another 2 or 3 weeks. Make sure it gets plenty of sun after it gets all this water here, or it will get root rot. And do not water it too much after this. So make sure the soil gets completely dry after this watering before you water it again, or you might get root rot and it might die, unless the temperatures are above 85 or 90 and it's getting sun all day, every day. Then you can water it a little bit more often, but that's because the soil will be getting dry quicker. But here we are with it's soaking in the water here, and something I found a little bit helpful is just giving it nice little shakes to allow water to get in there and for things to situate and settle, because there are going to be air pockets in here which will dry out your roots and kill the roots. So you want to make sure that they're all encased with some nice soil, but not to overwater it. That's my biggest piece of advice. Most people just care for their cacti too much and end up watering them too much. Here's my Trichoceros grandiflora, my desert rose. I have a golden beryl, and then I have a white golden beryl right here. And then I'm not sure what the name of this one is here. I believe it's a small little beryl one. I believe it's native to Texas, but I'm not sure which one it is. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Tanner Kyler. Please subscribe if you enjoyed this video or you want to see more content like this. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you want to support this channel. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Have a great day.